Hello, I'm Eileen Roche, and welcome to Between Friends. If this is your first time here, I'm the co-founder of Dime, and I'm a longtime embroiderer. I've been doing this for quite a few years. This week, I encountered a new embroidery challenge. Now, I was trying to align 6 placemats on a yard of fabric while leaving 2 inches of open space between each placemat. Sounds easy enough, right? I mean, we've all done things like this before. And we definitely tried to economize on our fabric. And if you're using batting or sew any shape foam, you want to economize on that. Get as much of the project, all of those placemats in one hooping, or not one hooping, 1 yard, so that you're not wasting fabric. So I'd like to welcome everybody. I see so many people chiming in. We have Cheryl Goddard in Arizona. Nice to have you here. And another Arizona resident. Lovely. And all the way up in, let's see. Oh, my goodness. These are popping all over. Mount Vernon, Virginia, Washington State. Oh, you're up at the Skagit Valley Tulip Festival in Washington. Natalie, that must be amazing. Oh, my goodness. I hope you're enjoying that. And Ingrid, welcome all the way from Belgium. There we go. Lovely to have you here. Thank you for joining us. And Barbara Jones, oh, I'm so glad you didn't miss it. But you can always watch the rebroadcast, right? We leave it up on YouTube and Facebook so that you can see it at your convenience. Carolyn Booth, you're in South Texas. I'm in North Texas. It's a thundery day here today. It's a little cooler than normal and gray and so forth. But Patty W. in Florida, lovely to have you here. Georgia, Sybil in Oklahoma. It's just great to have so many friends join me here every Thursday. We have exciting things coming up through the rest of the summer. But today, I want to share with you this challenge that I've been facing, right? And it was perfect timing because I was working with one of our new products. So let's go ahead and get back to task here. So when I was designing this placemat, I was starting with I started with the measurement of the placemat, right? I just got a standard placemat. They measure about 13 by 18 inches or 17 inches. They kind of vary. So no real, it's, set size for that. So let's see. But sorry, losing my cool here. Don't mean to. I knew that on my machine, I can use a 10.5 by 16 hoop, or I can use a 9.5 by 14 inch hoop. And that's the size that I opted to use. So I started in my software. So why don't I go ahead and bring in my software so that you can
The first thing you want to do is rotate the
this is a
design.
video. Sorry. We'll do okay. We're having a lot of thunderstorms here, and so we're having a computer crash or two. But if you just bear with me a moment, I'm going to take you into my software so you can see. All right, let's see exactly how I started. And I just have to wait for the computer to catch up with us. So let's see, where is that software? Okay. There we go. So now is that screen changed, Gloria? We pop that up and let's see. There we go. Okay. So here I am I'm in Perfect Embroidery Pro, but I could be in my quilt embellisher. And I'm going to show you the design that I started with, and that's this mouse over here. So here is all of my placemats, right? And you're not seeing that quite yet. There we go. So you can see my big design repeated 6 times. And then I drew a rectangle. So let's go ahead and I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see. I used my artwork tools right here to draw a rectangle. And I just kind of drew it, like that. And then I selected that rectangle. And over in the properties box, I told it that I wanted it to be 12 inches by 16, I think, or 17. That's it. And so when I did that, that gave me a 2-inch border on all 4 sides, right? And as you can see, I already have them in place, but that's how you draw it. So you don't have to be an artist. All you have to be able to do is use the tools that are in that software. These artwork tools are just fabulous, right? We have a rectangle, which can also be a square because you're going to change the dimensions. You got an ellipse, which is a circle, a triangle, diamond, star, rounded, hexagon, leaf, all kinds of things. So don't be afraid to use those tools. You don't have to be an artist. And of course, I made one very large rectangle that is 40 inches wide by 36, and that's my fabric. And that allowed me to audition all of those placemats on that yardage so that I could really see how it was going to fit with that spacing in between those 2 inches. Okay, so let's see where we go next, because I don't need to print templates of all of those placemats. I really only wanted to print one template of my placemat. And so I did that, and we have a new size of our print and stick template paper. We have a new legal size, which is 8.5 by 14. And so it's so exciting to use that. So let's go to the overhead cam so you can see that template, how big it is. Look how nice and big it is, right? It's 3 inches longer than our standard 8.5 by 11. Now, when I print it, I want to show you how I trim it away, trim that excess so that I can still have a place to position and store my template. I'll use this again and again, right? So with a cutting mat, not a hooping mat, right? You're going to take your template, and this is my technique for doing this. Everybody will have a different way, but it's tacky, it's sticky. So scissors don't really work that great. But I just peel back that protective paper and stick a portion down on a cutting mat. And then I open up my blade and I slice right along that outline. You don't have to get super close to it, but what you want to do is remove some of that excess so it's easier to store the template on the protective paper over time, just because it's just easier to line it up. So now I'm actually taking it all the way off, and I'm just going to get that outside edge. And frankly, you don't even have to do both edges. You just want it to be small enough so that you have some border on open border on the edge so that it'll stick to that protective paper really well. Okay, so that's really all you have to do. You don't even have to do all 4 sides, just the 2 sides will work. So as you can see now, I have a little bit of excess space, and it'll be easier to store this and to control it and peel it off when I want to use it over and over. Did I close that? No, so let's close that. Okay, so that's how we trim this template paper. And we have a lot of uses for the print and stick template paper, and we're going to go over some of them. So, okay, I'll move this out of harm's way. And now let's go back and learn how to print the template, because it's a little bit different. All of our default settings, right, are actually for standard paper, 8.5 by 11. So you're going to have to make some changes in both your embroidery toolshed software and also your printer software. Not really software, but those property boxes. So let's go ahead and find that video that I made for you, and let's watch, okay?
And print in portrait size. So we'll select the whole design and rotate. And we can get rid of the sizes because we don't need that to print. And then we'll go to print preview. And in print preview, go to page setup and change the size of the paper to legal. And we're in portrait, which is fine. You can change your margins and then click OK. Select your printer and then select preferences. And we have legal already selected. And then you want to select quality. The default will be text probably, and click on photos and say OK. And then when you print, it will have those settings in place.
Okay, so as you can see, you have to change it in both places, right? Both in the Embroidery Toolshed software to tell it it's legal. You could see in that video how just half of the embroidery design was visible on the paper that was previously selected, the standard size. But once I selected legal, then it filled the whole page because the page size changed. But then you have to tell the printer what size paper you're using and the quality. That's really important. You have to select the best photo quality, and for paper, select photo. That way, the ink will not smear on the template, which we've learned the hard way. And maybe you have too. So it's good to remember that. It's really important. So I was off to the races, right? I made it's not really a quilt sandwich, it's more like a quilt cracker, right? Because I had my fabric, the top fabric, and just the sew-any shape foam layered and, matched up by size. And then I hooped just the upper right corner, because when I'm working with foam, I like to work from the short end of the foam and over to and I'll show you. I got a video for you. So go ahead. Here, we'll play video 1, and you'll see where I started. And of course, I used the weightless quilter. Here we go. The tabletop weightless quilter. And this is my setup at home. So I got the tabletop weightless quilter on the edge, and it's just holding those two pieces, right? Sew-any shape foam and the fabric together. And I'm stitching that placemat. Now this design, 8 minutes. That's it. So my stitching time for 6 placemats is just, 48 minutes. It's really short. And so I was jazzed. I finished that design. I'm like, okay, time for me to move on to the next one. And that's really where I got a little stymied, I have to tell you, because, I'm conserving fabric, right? I can't hoop the next one and have it askew, right? I don't want that to happen. I don't want the one to be crooked. Then I'm not going to have those equal borders all the way around. So I could take the whole thing off of my machine, right? But I hate to do that, right? Because the beauty of the Snap Hoop Monster is I just lift that top frame, slide my fabric and batting or sew-any shape foam, put that top frame back in place, and I'm good to go. So I'm very resistant to take the project off of the machine over to the cutting table or hooping station and fix it. So I went, aha, I have that print stick Target template paper. I'll bet I could make my own rulers. So that's what I did. So here, just one moment, and we'll see how I did that. Okay, well, I'm going to teach you how to do it, but first I'll show you in application. Oh, is this the wrong video? Oh, no, yeah, this is not really wrong. Okay, but let's go back to PowerPoint now, because in PowerPoint, I want to show you, here we go, the images of the process. So here on the right, the image on the left, and you can see the first placemat is stitched. Well, I just printed a placement guide, really, a 4-inch wide rectangle. I printed on my print and stick paper, and then I positioned that right on my placemat, aligning the long straight edge of the ruler along with the edge of the quilted placemat. And that told me where to place my next placemat template. That's a lot of blah, blah, blah. As you can see, look, isn't that cool? So now all I have to do is peel out this, the placement ruler template, and then hoop for the second. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. I kind of have everything in process here for you so you can see, I hope. Well, what I did was I stitched all 3. So here we are in the overhead. Now, we're a little tight here, but you can see how we have 1, 2, and 3 is done on the width of the fabric. So now I have to hoop so that I can see the bottom row and where that will go. If you just bear with me one moment, got to get a screen in position so I can see what I'm doing, what you're seeing. Okay, so now I'll take that ruler that I made, that 4-inch ruler, and I'm going to position that right at the bottom. And I'll move this over so you can see, get this in the camera. So here I have my straight edge, right? I have my line, and I'm going to position that right at the edge of that first placemat. And now I'm going to take my placemat template design template, blah, 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 lots and lots, okay? And I am placing that right there. So now I know if I put this in position, I'll peel it up so you can see where we are. And I just want you to see the edge of the fabric, right? So here's my selvage, and right here is the bottom of the fabric. I know I'm going to have enough room for my hoop. I can get that top frame for you so you can see that. And yeah, I'm going to be great. I got ample room. Now I could check to make sure I'm going to have enough space. Now you're probably wondering, oh, I'm kind of off here. But remember, this is 4 inches wide and I only need a 2-inch border. So that's all I really need to accommodate on the sides, the edge and the bottom. But isn't that awesome? So easy to do, really handy, your own placement tools that you can make all by yourself in your software and with print and stick target template paper. So I thought I would show you some of the others that I made because I had so much fun with it. I made a whole set, I did, these are common spaces that I'm always positioning things that far apart. 1 inch, and of course the length often doesn't matter. It's really the width, right? I'm trying to space things apart. So we have 1 inch, 2, 2.5, and then here we have 3 by 4. You can make these any size you want, and I'll reuse them again and again and again. So I'm going to show you in software how you can do it. I also added some with some lines that might be helpful. You can make them as fancy as you want. Also have these tiny little triangles here that I made, and I'm going to show you that tip towards the end of the program, and I use that for binding. Oh boy, that's fun. Okay, so let's see if we have any questions. Okay, Catherine says she went to my block piecer went to print blocks to as a preview, does not print. What did I do wrong? Yeah, you are off topic. I don't know what you did wrong, honey. I'd have to sit down with my block piecer and you and try to mimic your tasks. So not quite sure. Let's see. Any questions? Not really. Okay, so if you have a question, start your comment with a question mark, even a couple question marks, and that'll stick out, and I can see that's exactly a question that we can answer for you. Okay, so next up, I want to show you some tips on handling that sew any shape foam. Right, I already showed you that I used the weightless quilter tabletop for this. I probably maybe could have used the floor stand weightless quilter, but this was, it's not that big, right? It's not that big. So let's go ahead and take a look at video 2 so you can get an image. Now, I roll that tube of sew any shape foam and I clip the end, the bottom. I'm going to back this up a little bit so you can see. I have a hoop guard in place, right? See that hoop guard there? You can barely see it in that image, but it's holding that roll out of the sewing field. It's really handy, really, really handy. Love that. So in PowerPoint, let's go over to PowerPoint. And there we go. So here you can see I use those little clips, right? They're so handy to hold the roll closed at the top and bottom. It's really quite helpful for sure. So let's see. And Barbara Jones is asking a random question. Will we be making a Hypers Monster Snap hoop for the Avenir Radiance? Of course, Barbara, of course. But it'll be a little while. There's a lot of issues right now with tariffs and so forth. And so some projects, some new products that we have in the works are just being paused for a little bit until we get all of these things figured out. And, the climate is changing every week. So, but know that we are here and committed to all of your embroidery needs, and nothing's going to stop us here at Dime and OESD, right? We're going to keep stitching and keep providing good products for all of you. So, and Barbara Jones, she can wait patiently. Good. I hope so. Okay, and Ree Wilcoxon, my good friend over at Embroidery Garden, says, love, 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 Sewing shape foam. I know, me too. Gosh, I do love it. How did you finish the placemats? Okay, I'll show you. Well, I have we'll go to the overhead. I did have one finished. So what I do is when I take it out of the hoop, I do use a quilter's ruler to cut my fabric and foam, right? It's all one piece at that point. 2 inches from all of the quilting, right? That's what I do. Now, I have to admit, I did this down and dirty. As you can see, it's not absolutely perfect, but the other 6 will be. This was my test to see if this whole process would turn out properly. Anyway, that's what I did. So then I take my backing fabric, right sides together, place that on top of my quilted fabric, and I sew with a 1/4 inch all the way around, leaving a large opening. And then before I turn, I cut away some foam in that opening. You just kind of eyeball it. It's a little bit of a struggle, right? I have learned that a 1/2 inch seam allowance is much more friendly when you are working with foam in this manner, when you're doing right sides together and the foam is going to be in the seam allowance. So don't be afraid to use a 1/2 inch seam allowance. You can always trim down that foam before you turn. And it just makes it a little bit more manageable. And then I, fold in that opening. Where's my opening? Here it is. I fold it in. It's not perfect. I fold the back over the foam and then just fold the front fabric over itself and clip that. And then I edge stitch all the way around. Now, what I also will do is with a walking foot, I will do just some channel stitching, probably 2 or maybe 3 rows of stitching all the way around. And then it looks like the entire thing was made in the hoop and, easy to use, easy to enjoy, right? I love that. It's a very fast way. Sandra, I hope that answered your question. Okay, and let's see. Sharon Cream says you use foam instead of batting. I do use foam instead of batting, Sharon, because I like the way it feels on my table when I place a plate down or a glass or silverware. I don't get any clunking, no banging on the table. And it's just a soft surface. If you're like me and you're a quilter, embroiderer, we're all about that textile feeling. We just love it. And so I love that. Okay. And so then Catherine is saying, could you use the ITHD method? Could you tell me what that acronym stands for in the hoop? Is that it? I'm not really sure. So go ahead and clarify that a little bit, and I'll be happy to answer you. Now, another option is that I could have bound the placemats, right? I used binding. You most certainly can do that. I don't really like doing that on placemats unless they're round placemats or oval placemats. Then that's when I do that. So let's see. And my friend Dawn says that Sewing shape foam is great for in the hoop purses and mini quilt hangings. It sure is. It's so sturdy. Yeah, like this little, quilt hanging. I literally will stand up on its own. I mean, that's the Sewing shape foam. It's cool. Really, we love it. Okay. In the hoop on the back of, hang on, the screen's popping around. So she's in the hoop on the back of, well, you could, but see, my challenge was that size now, the finished size, is larger than any sewing field that I have, right? The largest sewing field I have access to is 10, maybe 10 and a half by 16 and a quarter. And my finished placemat is actually 12 by 17. So I can't do in the hoop, by adding the backing in the hoop and stitching all the way around. I would wind up with a smaller placemat. If you're okay with that, then you most certainly could use that technique. Oh, and Carolyn Booth wants to know, how does the foam launder? Oh, beautifully. You could all day long wash that. Now, after it comes out of the dryer, it may curl a little bit, like I could have brought one in to show you. And then I just press it. And frankly, many times I just flatten it. I kind of have a stack of placemats in a drawer. And I just, flatten it out with my hands and put it in there. And when I pull it out to use it, it's all nice and flat. Oh, I love that foam. I'm telling you, ladies, friends, embroidery friends, you don't have to be a lady to watch this. If you have not used the Sew Any Shape foam, oh, please do. It's delightful. It's going to change your world. And Sharon Crean wants to know, can you use any type of foam? Well, the foam that I'm talking about is our Sew Any Shape foam, and that was designed for machine embroiderers. It's very similar to Soft and Stable, which is made by the company by Annie. So it's similar to that. You don't use embroidery foam, if that's what you're referring to. And I wouldn't use craft foam that you find in the craft store, because they disintegrate over time after, you stitch through it and so forth. Well, not embroidery foam, but craft foam does. You don't want to launder that and so forth. So anyway, stick with this stuff. It's great stuff. Okay, so what else do we use these great big new templates for? Well, let's take a look. Like, how about a jacket back? I mean, isn't that always a challenge to fill that whole canvas, right? A jacket measures, okay, so here we go. This is not trimmed. This is 8.5 by 14, legal size print and stick target template paper. And as you can see, my jacket measures probably 8 3/4 and 13 3/4 inches. So it really fills that jacket back. And of course, you have your crosshair. Now I would put this in a sticky hoop, and all I have to do is, once it's on the sticky hoop, I then center my needle right over there, remove that template. And remember, when we're at the machine and we're removing the template, I want you to envision that there's a foot here, right? What we do is I peel it back from the back of the machine, and I peel it this way. Oh, this one's tacky because we stuck it on here the other day. We haven't removed it since. So I peel it underneath the foot towards me, okay? It's tempting when you're at the machine to want to peel it off and pull it this way. Don't. You won't be able to clear that foot. It gets to be a hot mess. Just start from the back, peel it nice and flat like that, and then you'll store it on the paper that it came on, because you could use it over and over again. And if it loses its tackiness, you could spray it with temporary adhesive to get it, to use it again and again. So don't worry about that. All right, let me see if there's any questions, and then I'll go on to show you some other projects. Okay, so another great use for print and stick target template paper is for applique. So if you don't have a digital cutter, right? Or you don't have AccuQuilt, and that might be a product that you like to use. You can print out the applique in actual size and place it on your fabric, and then cut it out. Just cut right on that line, and you have the exact size that you'll need for your applique. So you would take it from your applique design in our software and click on the cutter. And why don't we go right into the software and do that, because I have it up, I think. If you just bear with me a minute, because there's all kinds of screens up. All right, and we'll go to a new screen. And I'll just hang on one second. Gloria, I have Gloria Cardoza is here with me, and she does a fabulous job getting me all set up. She's my director. We don't have the software loaded. Okay, well, we can get it loaded again. We did have it. It was up there. Okay. we lost a couple things. Okay, so if you just bear with me, then I will bring it up. Okay, how's that? All right, we'll come into, oh yeah. We got, so for the broadcast studio that we use, when there's a mistake, you get this little sad face and it says, something went wrong. And, I guess we're supposed to laugh at that. Sometimes it's funny. Lots of times it's not. Oh my. Okay, make your own rulers. Here we are. Okay, I'm coming into the studio. It just takes a minute. Reen says she loves how the Dime software adds arrows pointing to the top of the design. Yeah, it is. And that's pointing to the top, the orientation, right? So that Mary's monogram always looks like Mary's monogram and not Wilma's, right? M and W sometimes reverse so easily if you place it down there in the wrong place. So, okay, let's see. Now we're going to share my screen. We'll do the entire screen so you get to see everything. And then we'll go right into software. Okay. All right. There we are. And Gloria's there too. She's prettier than that black square. I can tell you that. Where'd it go? She's struggling a little bit. Oh, did we? No, it's not my screen. Nope. My screen. Did it kick me out? No, that's okay. Just bear with me, folks. Let's see. We'll share. We need nice music. If we had nice music, you wouldn't mind this, right? That's what we need. Okay. Now we're ready. Okay. Is it up now? Well, maybe this is not going to work today. Okay. Well, goodness, now I don't even remember what I was going to show you. Anyway, you just select the design, the applique design, and click on the cutter. And from the options, select paper. And then it will just print the absolute outline of the applique on the print and stick target paper or regular paper. And then you can print it out and stick that onto your applique fabric and cut around it. All right. There we are. Okay. There we are. All right, so here I'll show you. So here I have my applique design selected, and I'll go into Patch and Applique Maker and select the applique cutter. And when I do, wow, things are moving so slow here, folks. Some miles ahead of you. Oh, goodness gracious. Let's try that again. Okay, we select the applique cutter. There we go. And then as you can see, it's defaulting to a matte media, 12 by 12. But I can tell it that it's paper. And then it will actually print it on paper. It becomes a PDF instead of an SVG or a FCM. And then I'm able to send it. Print it. So isn't that awesome? Okay, that's great. So let's go to the overhead cam, because that was scary. The software was so slow, right? It's really not, it's not the embroidery software, it's the broadcast software. So thanks for bearing with me. Okay, so here we'll go over to the overhead. And I just did that, Gloria. Okay. Okay, I'm afraid I'm not going to have sound. So I need to add this to the studio. Oh my goodness, we have too many things going on. Add to stage, okay. So I have a couple images that I want to show you because, when we struggle with this, okay, they just told me that you ladies, that our friends here didn't have sound when I did this whole side. So as you can see, I have seam allowance added to this when we do it out of My Block Piecer. And when we print on print and stick target template paper, I can use this to cut out my half square triangles if I'm doing a piece in the hoop block. So easy to do, super fun, just another great use for the print and stick target template paper. Okay, so now let's go to my binding trick, because often I measure a 1/4 inch from the binding and I place a pin in this fashion. And it's kind of cool, but I don't really know where to put. I don't really know when I'm there, do I? Right? I'm just guessing when I'm at the machine. Now, I could put it in this position so that the head is sticking out closer to the sewing. But again, once this is covered up, I'm not really sure where that pin is. So by making these little 1/4 inch half square triangles, I can now go and sew right down my 1/4 inch right to that triangle and off the corner. Isn't that fun? Goodness, I love that. I mean, that's something that's had me stymied for a long time, and I just love this little trick. Now they're tiny, so I made like a whole page of them, and I'm just going to keep this whole little set in a drawer right next to my sewing machine so that when I'm doing binding, it's really easy to just stitch my 1/4 inch, come up to that. I probably remove it and then stitch right off the corner to, continue my binding. So I love that. Okay, so I think you all got the sound back, and oh my, lots of challenges here some days, right? Not every day, but some days. Okay, what else do we have in store for you? I have to ask my friend here, is PowerPoint? Yeah, here it is. All right, where are we at? Okay, I'm going to add this to the stage. So here you can see, I took a photo of this at home so you could see the process. Like, see how far away that pin is actually from the needle? You don't really know. You're just guessing, right? You're just guessing. So, and again, the other side. Now, what I hate about this part, when the pin is attached to the actual raw edge of the fabric, the guide on my 1/4 inch foot, catches on that pin, pushes it out of shape, and frankly, I get all mad then. Anyway, yeah. Let's see. And Reen says print and stick is great for cutting, fussy cutting applique. And you're right. I probably have some fabric here that I could showcase that on, because that is something that is really handy for. And there's different ways that you can do it, but the translucent way is super easy. So here's my applique. And look at this pretty cafe fabric, right? We have, now maybe we'd like the heart to look something like that, right? Or maybe we'll straighten it up a bit. But how cool is that? Wouldn't that be nice to fussy cut that fan shape in the center of the heart? And boy, that would be really attractive. You could play with that over and over. Of course, I just picked this off our stash. There's lots of other fabrics that it would work with. It depends on what you're doing. Sometimes we want to fussy cut. Other times, all we're doing is adding some color. Like in this fabric, we're not going to fussy cut that, right? There's nothing really to fussy cut. But on this wild print, oh my, we have lots of options. We could have a small flower as the center. Let me turn that around so it's facing you. I should have printed this in black. It seems everything that I'm picking up kind of blends. Or we could go over here and just have that kind of really bold flower center fill our applique shape. It's a great tool for fussy cutting and really auditioning fabrics and seeing it before you cut it, seeing it before you waste any fabric, right? Some of these fat quarters that we purchase, they're really precious. And like if I wanted to do this, well, I'm really sacrificing, a lot of fabric. Might be worth it, but maybe not. And that would help you decide for sure. Getting the tip, and Sue Wiggins, she says, getting the tip for the small chart is the best tip I've heard in a long time. Yay! I'm so glad, Sue. I'll tell you, I was really tickled. The two things that I was so excited about in this program was making my placement rulers, right? So that I can evenly space out whatever it is I'm working on. And then where to drop my next template. Because often we're doing all this measuring and so forth. And earlier in the program, I said, I don't like to take all that work off of the machine. I want to keep it right there because that's the beauty of the Snap Hoop Monster, right? Lift, advance, and drop. So that's what that print and stick target template paper lets me do. Yeah. And then the binding, for many years, true confessions here. I've written 14 embroidery books, and I think 5 or 4 of them are on quilting. And in my second quilting book that I wrote, I didn't do traditional binding. I fused the binding in place, and they are literally raw edges. And the whole technique was of the quilt blocks themselves were raw edge. So I just embraced it, and they're really cool. Those quilts still exist, and they're all the bindings in place. But I'm sure there were some traditional quilters who were just horrified at that. And so I will say that over time, I've gotten an appreciation for doing binding the proper way. And that's not by hand, but by machine, double fold and all that. So, but I still, there's some things about it I don't like at all. The one invention that has really improved my binding is the weightless quilter, because that quilt at that point, when you add the binding, is so heavy, it's so bulky, and frankly, we're often sick of it, right? We cut the fabric, we made each block, we pieced them all together, we quilted it on our embroidery machine, and still, there's one more thing, and that's binding. But that weightless quilter, love it. It holds it. I stitch down one edge, I get up, flip it, go down the other corner. Oh, love it. So, yeah. Okay. Let's see. Oh, what else is going on? What else is coming up? But anyway, thank you for that nice comment. I'm glad, Sue Wiggins, that you enjoyed that for sure. All right. So what's coming up next is Ashley will be in the no, it's on special. Of course it's on special. The print and stick target template paper is available right now just for $19.99. You get 20 sheets of that 8.5 by 14 inch. You're going to love it. Our big hoops are getting bigger and bigger. So this paper is going to cut down on how many pieces you have to put together, right? So let me show you where you can buy it. You most certainly can buy it from us, but you can also buy it from your local dealer. Let's take a look. So I hope that you'll support those local dealers, because without them, we wouldn't be in business. And we really appreciate it if you do that. Okay, so I just want to answer this one question from Lorraine Strong. She says, are there any instructions on how to tell my In the Hoop software to go to my embroidery machine? There's a little icon at the top of your screen in any of our software, and it's a little sewing machine. And I don't think my software is in the program right now. Gloria, is it? Am I in there? Can I show her? Yeah, I can't show you. Yeah, so it keeps, I'm sorry, I can't show you, but there's a little tiny icon. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. It's the 5th icon from the left-hand side at the top of the screen, and it's a sewing machine, and it has a little check mark. If you just click on that, that activates the wireless transfer of the design that's on the screen to your machine. Now, you may have, when it opens, there'll be a little box, and you'll say, send to my machine. So you should be able to find it. And let's see, Judith, you said you used your quilter table for the first time. Absolutely love it. Your embroidered table. Yeah, it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. Oh, Chopper, she wants to know. Try. Oh, that's okay. Yeah, no problem. Okay, so what else is coming up? Let's see. Ashley is going to be here next week on May 6th. She'll be here May 6th. So she'll be talking all about software. And as you know, you're going to learn great things from Ashley. You always do. It's just awesome. So we can't wait to see what she has in store on May 6th. I'll be back next Thursday, May 1st. We're going to be talking about our my dear friend Deborah Jones, and many of you know that she passed last year, and so we're going to do a bit of a tribute to her and feature her greatest invention, the compass. So we'll learn all about that together, and I hope you'll join me for that. And then after that, what do we have? Well, then it's time, for On the House. Now we want you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and like us on Facebook. It means an awful lot to us. It tells us that you are enjoying the content that we're providing to you. So we would really appreciate it if you did that. And share your projects on social media. We have, we suggest you use the hashtag of Dime Sew Along, Dime on the House, and Dime Exquisite Thread. And that then we'll search social media and find them. So I think we have a video, so let's go ahead and play that. Okay, so you'll find this free design right now on dzgns.com, free designs, and that you'll find the free designs there. Now that will be changing in a little while, but we'll keep you up to date so you know exactly where to find everything. I suggest you go and you download them now, and also download any of the ones from the past, just, because we keep them up there, but we encourage you to take them when they first become available. This week's project, you've actually already have seen it. It's just a quilt block, but it's all pieced and quilted in the hoop. So I had an awful lot of fun designing this. I thought it would be a great opportunity for you to explore with a piecing in the hoop. Also, there's some applique on the heart, and then there's also quilting. So when it comes out of the hoop, it's complete. So all the instructions are provided. You'll also find SVG files for the shapes. Now, I used my AccuQuilt cutter to make my shapes, and the information is on what dies I used are in the instructions, but I hope that you'll enjoy that. And what can you do with that pieced in the hoop block? Well, just about anything. You could turn it into a trivet. You could, and there's 3 options in the instructions on how to do that. You could hold on to it and add it to some future blocks that might be coming your way, or you could make multiples and make a small table mat or something like that. It's really fun, though. I think you'll really enjoy it. So I look forward to being with you next week, and I hope that you take advantage of this special because it's not going to be $19.99 forever. Thanks you so much for joining me today. I'll see you next week, May 1st. Can you believe it's just around the corner?